Welcome back. I'm Iris Tao. Tonight in New York City, mayoral candidates are having their first televised debate. There are plans for the Big Apple. Joining us now live to discuss are Laurie Watkins and former policy advisor to President Barack Obama, as well as Katie Zacharia, senior legal advisor to Fix California. Thank you both for joining us tonight as this debate is going on. So Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani, independent candidate Andrew Cuomo, as well as Republican nominee Curtis Sliwa are facing off in a debate tonight. And one of the main topics is, of course, working with the Trump administration. Let's listen to a clip from the debate tonight. Let's take a look.
I would make it clear to the president that I am willing to not only speak to him, but to work with him if it means delivering on lowering the cost of living for New Yorkers. That's something that he ran his presidential campaign on, and yet all he's been able to deliver thus far has been prosecuting his political enemies and trying to enact the largest deportation program in American history.
I'd like to work with you. I think we can do good things together, but number one, I will fight you every step of the way if you try to hurt New York.
Unless he weaponizes the justice system to go after the attorney general of this state, in which case you'll issue a statement that doesn't even name the president.
Political weaponization of the justice system is wrong. Both sides do it. It's wrong when Donald Trump does it. It's wrong when they did it to Comey. It's wrong when Comey did it to Hillary.
Okay.
It was wrong when it happened to Tish James.
You can be tough, but you can't be tough if it's going to cost people desperately needed federal funds. Zohran Mamdani, the president, has already said it's going to take $7 billion out of the budget right from the start if you're elected mayor. People are going to suffer in this city, people who need those federal funds. What I would do is sit and negotiate.
So apparently President Trump was a huge topic at the debate tonight, with all three different candidates striking. It's relatively similar, but also could argue slightly different tones on their relationship and their approach with administration. Basically, all three saying that they will work with the Trump administration when areas need them, but also they also say that they will defend New York City if needed. So tell us first about your take on their approaches. What do you think is actually sticking out to you when it comes to how their relationship with President Trump and their approach with Trump will work out? Katie, let's start with you.
Well, listen, President Trump's been very clear. It's not just because it's Zohran. It's because Zohran has a million programs that he wants to implement in New York City and doesn't have the funds to support them. One of those programs he wants to implement is the community safety program, where he upends essentially the NYPD and replaces it with a billion-dollar infrastructure of community safety programs where you send social workers to crimes. And the president has been extraordinarily clear. I'm not going to come in and support New York when they are not even able to take care of New York itself. So Zohran does not lead with policies that are actually effective for New York. Zohran's entire, when I've been watching this debate, has been all centered anti-Trump, what Trump's done to Letitia, anti-Trump, what Trump's done to Letitia, and here are my communist programs that I want to implement. Cuomo is kind of middle of the road. I'm willing to work. I will defend New York. I'm just going to hopefully slide through this where Zohran's the extreme and the Republican can't win. And Sliwa's, look, he's willing to work with the administration. So we have a very clear precedent set. President Trump said he will withhold funds if it is Zohran Mamdani and because of the programs he wants to implement. That's my take so far.
So when it comes to cutting programs, we have heard from President Trump just yesterday that he has terminated funding for the Hudson commuter rail tunnel project. And of course, that's what we heard Zohran Mamdani was talking about as well, projecting it as a potential threat to New Yorkers and their livelihoods. So Laurie, what stood out to you and those candidates' responses when it comes to handling the relationship with administration, as well as one of them was also mentioning the issue of political weaponization. What do you think?
Well, look, let's be very clear. The whole reason why Donald Trump is paying attention to this race is because Zohran has become the new face of the Democratic Party. He is young, he is energetic, and he is talking about affordability and the economy and bringing down the cost of things that everyday Americans are concerned about and are suffering from right now. He wants to have a freeze on rent increases. He wants to have affordable childcare. He also wants to have affordable housing, affordable health care. He also wants free fast bus services for New Yorkers. All of these are programs that the majority of New Yorkers, Democrat and Republican, all support. And Donald Trump is notorious for putting the cart before the horse. He hasn't even been elected yet, Zohran, and he's already making threats of retribution against this guy. And we'll have to leave that up to the courts of whether or not that's going to be legal and he's going to be able to do that. But I hope the president doesn't follow through on his threats, because it won't just make New Yorkers suffer. It's going to make the entire state of New York suffer. And I think that's part of why Donald Trump is focused on this, is because he, in fact, is worried about 2026. And he's looking forward to the future. And he feels like if he can do this, the majority of those Democrats running in the state of New York will have, blame on their hands, because the Republicans will be able to point to the fact that, look what they did. Look at all the suffering. Look at all the money that's not coming, when it really will be this Trump administration.
So, Katie, of course, we have heard a main criticism from Republicans and, frankly, from President Trump is that Mamdani's policies, they sound good, but they're actually socialist, if not communist, and are hard to come true. And Mamdani's big appeal is the cost of living crisis, as he puts it, which has drawn a lot of support his way. What alternative policies or specific proposals are we seeing from other candidates that you think could help actually lower costs as well? And what do you think about Mamdani's proposal?
Well, all of the programs that were mentioned, these are not free. Someone has to pay for those programs. It's pure economics. Free healthcare? No. Free bus services? No. This comes out of where? Taxpayers. So who's paying for that? You're not going to have people donating to these causes. So the taxes will go up. So people are going to be paying for them, but they're going to be free, but they're going to be paying for them through their taxes. Mamdani doesn't talk about this. This is not that. This is the idea of communism. We're going to tax all of these people. All the billionaires who are the commercial developers have already expressed that they're going to be exiting New York because it's not going to be tenable for them to live there. So who's going to be paying for this? And then that's why President Trump, it's not the cart before the horse. It's that you have to pay the consequences for what you vote for. The federal government is not going to come bail Mamdani out because he puts all these programs in that he can't afford. We've seen that in California with Gavin Newsom and the train to nowhere and everything else that he's implemented. He actually gave illegal immigrants health care, and it made our entire medical system insolvent, where he had to ask for a $3.44 billion loan from the federal government. So what is the solution? The solution is tried and true. Lower the taxes. President Trump passed the one big beautiful bill where Mamdani's wrong, and it gave the largest tax cut to working class Americans, not his billionaire friends, to working class Americans. So what would help in New York? The messaging would be very clear. Tax cuts for the working class. Let's give small businesses incentives. Let's give large businesses incentives to stay here so that people can thrive, not this communist approach that has failed every single time.
Laurie, what's your response? Nothing is free. What do you think about the criticism from some that calling Mamdani's policies communist or socialist? And do you think his policies are realistic?
With all due respect to Katie, I'm going to actually give you the plan. Katie says that all of these things aren't free. The only thing I said that was going to be free was free fast buses. Everything else I said affordable, meaning the average New Yorker, lower income, middle income person can be able to afford living on a daily basis. And I'll give you an example of how this is working in a very close nearby city. Let's talk about Boston. Michelle Wu, also very unpolitically known at the time. She's only 40, very young, just like Mamdani, 33 years old. She came into the city of Boston, okay? She also brought down the cost of healthcare, brought down the cost of childcare, also offered free bus services. For these threats of all these businesses and companies are going to leave New York, they implemented, Massachusetts voters voted for a 4% millionaire tax. That's how it got paid for. And she's thriving. The city is thriving, absolutely thriving. So that's just one example of how you can pay for these programs. Simple. I just gave you a solution.
So, well, remain to be seen then after tonight's debate to see if Mamdani actually remains at the lead of the race and whether President Trump is going to respond to their performances tonight. And switching gears here, speaking of other races coming up in November, we know that Democratic candidate for Virginia Attorney General Jay Jones and Republican incumbent Jason Miyares are also debating tonight for their position. And meanwhile, Jay Jones's texts were repeatedly brought up, of course, including in Miyares' opening statement. Here's a clip of that.
Jay Jones had said that he wanted to piss on the grave of his political opponents. And what did he want to do to Todd Gilbert? 2 bullets to the head. Why? Because he didn't like his politics. What's worse? He wanted Jennifer Gilbert, a mother with 2 small children, ages 2 and 5. He said that he hoped to see their children die in their arms. Why? Because in his own words, he said that pain is the only way that change can occur.
Let me be very clear. I am ashamed. I am embarrassed. And I'm sorry. I am sorry to Speaker Gilbert. I'm sorry to his family. I'm sorry to my family. And I'm sorry to every single Virginian. I cannot take back what I said. But you have my word that I will always be accountable for my mistakes. And you also have my word that I will spend every waking moment fighting for you.
So, Laurie, was that apology, in your opinion, adequate, or should he have stepped aside from the race, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I will say that I think he should have stepped out of the race. He decided to stay in. That's his choice. And he apologized to everyone publicly for maybe the 10th time that I've seen. He did it immediately afterwards, and he did it again to the entire, electorate of Virginia in this debate. He's been transparent in the fact that he came out right away. I don't condone what he said, full stop, okay? But there is a raised temperature on both sides of this aisle right now. We're talking about hatred, violence, etc. We want to talk about the chat of 20 and 30-year-olds or young Republicans in the state of New York that were saying they love Hitler and talking about African Americans and the raping of indigenous people. I mean, this has got to stop on both sides. America is completely divided right now. People are deterred from even getting involved in politics or listening to politics or the news, and it's got to stop. So the voters will decide in the state of Virginia.
So, Katie, is this an issue where both sides have to tone down and fix it? And should Jay Jones' conduct disqualify him from holding office in the first place?
Well, the actual violence is coming from one side, and that's the left. We've seen an attempted assassination twice on President Trump. We've seen an attempted murder of Steve Scalise, and we saw the real-life assassination of our beloved Charlie Kirk. So the violence is not coming from both sides. And the top of the Democrat Party, Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, these people, Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, they are consistently fanning the flames of violence in my mind. And this post from Gavin Newsom consistently coming out against President Trump and his entire cabinet, Stephen Miller, that are calling for violence quietly out of satire. Look, we as the Republican Party, this chat that was referred to, these are not the leaders of the Republican Party. This is a fringe group of people, and that is disgusting and absolutely detestable. Jay Jones should have stepped down. That we can agree on. That we can agree on. And
I would like to respond.
Absolutely should. I love the interruption.
Every
I'm
single
actually
event
speaking,
that she
but thank
brought
you
up
so
was done
Go
by
ahead.
a
It's your turn.
right-wing activist, a radical person that was affiliated with the Republican Party. And the young leaders, the Republican young leaders of New York, they're 20 and 30-year-olds who are supposed to be the leaders of the Republican Party. They are not some fringe group, Katie, and you know better than that.
Amid all this heated debate, we know that it's certainly catching all of the nation's attention. Like you said, assassination of Charlie Kirk, but also some controversial text messages, either from Republican leaders, the student group, or either from now Jay Jones targeting another Republican. But what do you think the impact of all these conversations and ongoing heated debate will be for the upcoming elections, especially coming up this November, for example, for Virginia itself, a governor race, as well as the attorney general race? Laurie can go first.
I don't want to see any more division in this country. I'm a practitioner of politics. I come on news networks all of the time, and it's to defend our democracy and to tone down the rhetoric. It's not to inflame or to incite. Everybody needs to be better about this. It's not even just about two sides. We need to find more love and less hate in this country. That's the point I want to make here.
And Katie, how do we come to a better environment politically as well as rhetorically for not only politicians, but like we were just talking about, for everyday Americans as well?
Well, one question as a follow-up is I'd love for Laurie to share the name of any of the Republican leaders in that chat that are going to be that are the head of the Republican Party that were found in that chat. If you care to share those specific names, I'd be interested.
One gentleman was the chief of staff to an assembly member in the state of New York, and he was fired immediately. There you go.
So he was fired. Has Jay Jones been told by the Democrat Party
to
as
a consequence that he should have gotten for his actions?
So which
you're saying there shouldn't be consequences?
Political violence, and which party continues it? We have a man who's called for the open shooting of a former speaker and children, the family members, and nothing's happened. Spanberger didn't speak out of it. Neither senator did. So what is the bigger problem? Jay Jones should not be up there. Jay Jones has no say, should have no say in the Democrat Party, and he, quite frankly, makes it look bad. And I don't think he represents the Democrat Party, what the heart of the Democrat Party is. But because the DNC, because they have not come out and spoken against him and said he has to step down based on this violent rhetoric, he then makes the entire party look bad. So, and I love Jason Miyares because he focused on the fact that he is not a prosecutor. He's a politician. And truly, if you're interested in being the prosecutor, if you're interested in being the Attorney General of Virginia, which Jason has done an incredible job at, then you are not going to be sending that type of violent rhetoric and thinking you can get away with it because you care about law and order. And that is exactly why I believe Jason will win in this race.
Well, whether that apology tonight was sufficient to dispel voters' concerns or whether it will not, we'll see very soon in November when voters make their decisions. Both Laurie and Katie, we appreciate you both for your perspectives tonight. Thank you for coming on.